How's it going, everybody? This is Storm here, and today I'm going to be making a quick tutorial on how to grasp the basics of the program WorldPainter for Minecraft map and landscape generation. Uh, Probably most of you already know about this program. The creative ones probably definitely do. If you ever made a project in Minecraft that required a lot of extensive work, you have probably heard about this because this program helps you a ton with landscaping, with texturing, and such and so forth. It's basically a definable, programmable tool for your landscaping Minecraft needs. Okay, let's get to it. As you can see before me, this is the whole WorldPainter program. First of all, what you want to do is go to your browser, type in WorldPainter download, and see what you get. This is the page where you download it according to your architecture, and then you just click the .exe file, and you will just need to install it just like any other game or software. Okay, so whenever you first start this program up, you will see this. Okay, what is this? This is all you will need to create every single thing. In this tutorial, or in all of my tutorials that I'm probably just going to be making in the near future, I will be tackling my own personal experiences when doing the project. So these are going to be the steps, or the definitely needed, let's say, tools for you to create a cool world. First of all, up in the corner here, if you click on the file, you will see there are a lot of options to get open a new world, to open an already established world, save a world, import, export, and such and so forth. We'll click, for the purposes of this video, on the create a new one. This is going to be the first and the most basic of things, this window right here. There are a lot of programmable, definable, let's say, parameters that you will need to take. Let's just name this as, like, let's say, a test one. As of right now, today is January 2023. Like, the latest version of Minecraft is 1.19, so let's just get that. I don't really know what this option does. Never really had need for it, so I'll just skip that. This is a very important thing, dimensions. This will basically define you how many blocks you want the diameter to be. This, if you click, it will create you a circular world as expected. However, do not presume that the circle is going to be made out of pure blocks. Is going to be made out of, if I'm not mistaken, whole chunks. So on like a large scale build or a project might be like really cool. I've already tried that. On a smaller kind of project, it would get really blocky. This maximum height is already predefined because of the version. I'll just leave it at that. I never really, to be honest, experience any of these, so I never really tried that. I don't think I feel like it would just break the world, because there are a lot of issues that I've encountered while exporting the worlds, while having some sort of like specific programmable parameters, and I had to like tweak it for it to even export the world. Okay, the topography, that basically means what you want your world to look like. I always start with a flat one because it just gives you the most freedom while starting the project. These options here will basically tell you that you can get the flat or like a predefined terrain. These things, if you just tweak it a little bit, you'll see that this will in fact vary in height. So it will just give you a more of a hilly terrain. Also, this will I call it, this is like one of the patterns that you would probably see in like a 95 Windows paint or something like that. It's like the really low res textures. So you just go play and fiddle with it. I personally don't do that. I just start with a flat because, it will give you the most creativity. These things are very important since our worlds are about like 300 blocks, maybe even more because it goes into negatives, I believe. High, I get that I always start at least at level like 80, which means the blocks will, or the surface level will be at level 80, and below that it's going to be filled with blocks up to bedrock. Okay, you can click the beaches. That was basically this. If you make the water level 1 block less than the actual level of terrain, it will not generate any water. It will just give you the terrain that there is. If you uncheck the beaches, it will not create anything. You can also, as you can see, normally if I just gave it a 1 block higher than the level of the terrain, it will fill this whole world with water or lava if you so wish. For the purposes of this video, I always start a project with 1 level lower than the whole terrain with the water. Then we get the surface materials. That is basically what kind of a material you want your world to be. Most people go for the grass, sand, or stone. You'll also have like a stone mix that will basically give you what you know. With the normal Minecraft generations, it will, get you the standard diorite, granite, andesite, and normal stone mix. I don't really know if you can like predefine materials to this sort of world generation. I know you can do it for specific terrains afterwards when inside the program whilst building your world. Then you can do that. So I almost just every time just start with a normal stone or sand. Advanced, this might be, I never really like played with this. You can actually define all the layers, meaning that with like this whole programmable thing, you can get yourself the world that you want. So if you just don't do anything with this and leave it at simple, as I said, it would just create this whole like level from this predefined level like that we got at 80, and it will just give it to bedrock, and then it will create a layer of bedrock below that. If you just want to go in advance, I guess that what it will do is that on these specific levels from this to this, it will be a certain type of block, right? And you can like add it here, and you can tweak it as much as you want. I guess that might be cool if you just wanted to go for like a mesa from the beginning, and you just go and tell the world generation to get a lot of different colored terracotta, for instance. This altogether, I really don't know. It's a city with a huge ocean around the origin, or a seed with a large continent around origin. When there was this huge change in normal Minecraft with the cave generation and such, with this whole engine, I believe it was like at like 118 and 119 or something, then the generation has actually gone for better, right? And it will basically tell you that whenever you create, let's say, this circular world that we're going to be doing, it will just create this whole like land or ocean accordingly. So since we are in fact doing like a circular world, let's see how it will end up going with the land. Then you just go with the create button, and you will see this. Right. If you press Control and you use your mouse wheel, you can in fact zoom in and out. This is the whole map with the whole dimensions that you can see here. It has created, just as we predefined, a circular world with stone everywhere, a flat one. Now, if you look down here in these little windows on the lower edge, you will see, first of all, how much zoomed in you are, but also whenever you point at like the specific pixel, you will see what kind of information about that block there is available. So right now you can see there is, of course, the coordinations, the locations. Normally, whenever you enter your Minecraft world, you can press, if I'm not mistaken, like F3 to get all the information about that. And that's going to be the chords that you tell people to meet you at or something. Height, then the slope, terrain. It will just tell you what kind of a block there is. It will tell you also the biome and many other things after that. So this will be just the basic world creation. You can, of course, on the file up above, just create or like open already created project. So as you can see, I just got 2 of my projects right over here. I'm not going to be opening it because we just created this whole world and such. And you could just open it and resume your work wherever you've ended. All the other options here, probably the most usable for me is the Save World S, Control-Shift-S as a shortcut. That would mean for you to save the world as is. I cannot recommend you doing this enough. Okay, do it as much as possible. This is all I'm just gonna say. You can also merge a Minecraft map with some sort of a project of yours. Right now, it's not gonna work, but if you had, let's say, an already used Minecraft world, and you would just want to like tweak a certain chunk or an area of that, you can define a read-only areas that it would not make any difference on, and also like changeable areas. So if you want to create like a mountain range and you are afraid that it would just, I guess, destroy one of the buildings or multiple of the buildings that you've already put in that world, you can do that. Okay, so what you can see in the left slope right over here, you have the tools, which is the spraying, which is the pencil, fill, text. By the way, the text I've never used. Fill is a good one. Fill with lava. Sponge is a good one, and basically all the others I've used many a times. For your project, I guess would be the best to get like custom brushes. Normally what you get in the default version of WorldPainter is this. I've created like these, or like I downloaded these Evman brushes. You can get it. I don't have the link for it right now, but I could probably figure it out in the description of the video, for instance. And these brushes are predefined, like let's say mountain generations. Okay, if you click a brush, it will give you this. It's a little bit different than if you just go with a spray or something like that. But these brushes really vary. With your scrolling wheel, you can of course adjust the size of the brush. If you, as I said before, press Control and you use the scroll wheel, you can just zoom in and out, even with the brush out. Okay, down here, I always tend to click and drag this over. It would just give you options wherever you want to do it. Oh, this is bad. I don't want that. And these are the brush settings. So there are, of course, shortcuts for your keys that you can use. For me, for instance, one of the best ones is Alt and 3, which rotates it 30 degrees every single time you press it, which is great if you want to avoid repetitive mountain ranges and such and so forth. Intensity is how strong the brush is going to go, and these options, these are very important, but in like a more, let's say, advanced state. So there is one more thing, and that is if you Control and 3, if you press Control 3, it will open you a new window, which is like basically a map of a 3D world that you're creating. Right now, there is literally nothing. You can see it's It's just a circle with an added height, and I always like minimize it for the purposes, and just like Alt Tab between this window and the 3D model. So let's, without further ado, let's just go and try how this is gonna look. So I'm just gonna be putting down a mountain. For you to do this, you choose this tool setting with height, and it will just tell you what it is. If you right click, it will lower. No, I'm sorry. If you right click, it will lower. If you left click, it will raise the terrain. So I'm just gonna left click once, and it will create this according to the brush. If I just go to this overworld view of the map, it will just basically print you a 3D image of whatever you have here. Control Z, of course, undoes whatever you do. So learn to do that. Or if you cannot do the keybinds, you can just do this. You can also redo the steps. I don't really know what the maximum is, but I know you can do it multiple times. What I'm going to do now is just, I'm going to click with my left mouse button, and I'm just going to hold it. Right? I'm just holding it in place. If you can see, I have the intensity on the 100 right over here in the right corner, and I've just like went on full throttle on creating a mountain. Whenever I'm pointing, if you look at these little images right over here, these little brackets, you'll see then wherever I go, it's not the same, but it also changes the height and the variety, and it always just tells you the slope. So, you know, for the purposes of like then I think it's global operations, what to do on which kind of like a slope or degree or angle, whatever. Like you can get the height because it just tells you the maximum, which is like 319. After that, it just doesn't really do anything. And you can see the variation. We started at 80, and by clicking and dragging that brush, we went to around like 250. Now, look at that. We got ourselves a mountain. How cool is that? Let me just grab another, and I'm just gonna click and drag over here. Once again, with 100% intensity, and let's see how it goes. I just did this. We created another mountain, a little bit different. These brushes are a godsend, to be honest. Now I want to get a little bit of a bigger one, right? This feels, to me, more like a mesa or like a plateau kind of thing. And, you know, these brushes are, as I said, predefined. They all, in each of them, just get something different. But let's say I don't like how it looks on the top, so I can just figure it out. I just get another brush. Look at that. We got a mountain. I'm thinking this went to the limit, because whenever it starts to do this this flat area, you can see down there in the left right in the left down corner that you've already reached the limit. I'm gonna Control Z and start anew. Let's just do that. Yeah, and that looks pretty decent actually. I'll just lower the intensity. Let's just do this. Create that, and let's just drag a couple of these so it just doesn't look the same. You can also rotate the map, so if you need a specific angle, let's say, to change it, it changes in real life. So, you know, if you have two monitors, you can do that. If we go back, oops. If we go back with Control Z, you'll see that it does that as well. Do we want to do that? I don't know. Now, let me just finish this whole like valley over here, and then we're just gonna see how it's gonna end up looking. Look, a mountain right from the get-go. Okay, we're just gonna get this like little valley, because this red cross that you see, this is a spawn point, so you can change it however you would like. Look, yeah, that looks kind of decent, right? For the purposes of what you can do with this program, just to showcase, it's easy. It's really easy, and it's accessible. That's about it. Look how many things I've done. Like, for instance, I don't really know what happened here with this line. I guess it's a little bit of a weird brush, maybe. But you can also use these other tools like flatten, which will get you your plateau back if you want. Look at that. Yeah. So if you wanted to get like a mansion on top of a hill, it's ideal for that. I think it would be great if we just did something like that in the middle. No. Let's do something like that. Yeah. Let's make this plateau in the middle. Right. And then there's this tool for smoothing. Smoothing, once again, is a great tool for me personally. I use it all the time because I don't really like the rough edges. So I always want everything pretty smooth. Apart from like the mountains and the details on them. But whenever you are making like a map or like a project where you want the players to traverse, not necessarily just a mountainscape to, I guess, paint a landscape, paint like a background to a map or something. I always do this because it makes it easier for me as a player or every other player to traverse. Like, look at that. If you look at this, you can also zoom in on this. It will create like this area in the middle. Okay, so that'll be the first thing that we're gonna be doing. Now comes actually the question to paint the world, and for that you can as well get a lot of like predefined materials or define your own materials. As you've seen, there is this option for the spray paint, which, as you can see, if you don't really have anything right now selected, just select this one. It just doesn't do anything, right? This tool is for terrain options. As you can see, now that I've created or selected the terrain and I do this, it actually gives my world a color. If I pop back in here, you'll see that the world is going to be looking like this, for instance, right? So wherever the gray is going to be stone. Whatever the green is going to be grass, logically. There are predefined materials. If you zoom in on them and just leave your cursor at that point for a specific time, it would just tell you what it is. There are two defined grass options. One will give you things like grass, ferns, things like poppies, flowers in them by default, or there is an option for you to get a bare grass if you want to get your own. There's also moss, new versions. There's nether options. There's also a really cool mesa, which I tend to use quite often in my projects because it just looks so cool. You don't really have to tweak it at all. But if you so wish to get like a new terrain, you just click this option. Let's see, you wanted to get a terrain out of dispensers, or no, let's say dripstone blocks, right? That's kind of a cool block. The dripstone block would be the only block that you would want. You just do that, click OK. Another like icon will appear here in a new tab called custom terrain. If you go for that, it will just say dripstone block if you don't rename it. There are also options, and this is the one that I'm using most often. And this is the complex version of the custom materials. Here you can define a layer out of, I think it's unlimited amount of materials, where you can just define that you want, let's say, a dripstone block. You can also get the dirt if you wanted. You can get like, let's say, a brown wool. You can get like, let's say, brown terracotta as well. And you can also remove the materials, right? Like that. If you hold control, it will just not open the pop-up window. We will just select more options. So let's say we want that. You can get percentual limitations of what kind of a material you want in that complex material that you're creating. You can either get a noise, you can get a blob, which will basically create the same like blobs literally that you've seen in the beginning of the video whilst making the world with the beach option, or you can create a layer. The layer, the blobs are definable as well. look at that. If it's by default on 100, it will create big blobs. If you lower it, it will get back to the noise option. So it will be very similar to the noise if you look at this like stripe over there, which gives you how it looks. If we give it a bigger number, however, it will be, I want to call it feels to me like the old school Worms maps. I never really tried this, but if you go with a 500, it will just give you a lot of very huge, vast areas of the same type with definable things. If you go with a layer, you can click repeat, or you don't do that at all. I wonder if this makes any difference. Yeah, it does. Like, if you wanted to do the layer specifically, you could just predefine it. And if you just click over there, it will give you percentual use of that specific block. If you click on the repeat, it will basically do the same thing. And then the fun part starts. You can get the variation, right? That look at what it did to the material. It is no longer like a straight line. It's organic. It looks really cool. And you can define it over here as well. You can go with a roughness, which will give it like one of these 3 points, or 4, if you count the 0 as well. And it would just be more or less more interesting to the eye. Let's say axis angle will give you, the x-axis will give you like a rotation, z-axis, I think it would give you some sort of rotation, but upwards. So for purposes, let's just try it out, see how it's gonna go. It also shows the icon over here as well, which is kind of nice. Now, if I wanted to go with that and just spray paint it all over, or let's say fill out this whole area, it looks kind of cool, right? But I think it just creates the whole layers, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but we're not going to be doing that. I'm going to take a pencil, or let's say a brush, one of those normal ones with 100% intensity, and you can, because this is like a huge brush, it will probably require a lot of things, so don't drag it. This now it looks like a planet. Now it looks like it definitely looks like a Mars or something. That's not intentional, so I'm just gonna spray paint it back to, is that stone? No, that's clay. Bare stone. There we go. And we're just gonna start anew, because there is one very revolutionary thing, and that's called the global operations. As I said before, right down there on the left, wherever you see the slopes, the degrees, the heights and such, you can see what kind of slopes you want to put your terrains on, because you can define that either in this brush settings over there if you want to do it manually, or if you want to do a whole global operation for the whole world for all the chunks, or some sort of like, let's say, predefined selected chunks, which you can do by doing this. This will basically mean that you can select an area. I'm not going to do that right now, but you can do that, and you can fill it with a certain type. These types are predefined. This is the terrain. This on the bottom here are the terrains that we created, the custom ones. You can also do custom layers. So this is going to be a little bit of an advanced thing. Remove layers, invert layers, fill with the different biomes, and such and so forth. You will probably just have this, just as much as I do, have this window open at most of the times after you play with the landscaping. So my advice to you would be to first get your landscaping definitely ready. So if there are any like little things that you don't really know if you want to stay like that, like let's say I wanted to smooth out this area before I did that, before I made that global operation, definitely do that, because you would have to redo the operations multiple times, and it's a time sink. It's definitely a time sink, and it's not necessary for you to do that. If you remember to do this before, or let's say perfect what you want from the world, and then do the operations, it's better in my opinion. So let's see what it does. I'm just gonna do this whole predefined brown wool, brown terracotta thing, and I'm gonna do it everywhere that is above 45 degrees. Look at what it does. If you go here, it will basically tell you that whenever the slope is more than like 45 degrees, which is apparently everywhere from here to here or here to here, it will give that material a go, right? So that's awesome. I mean, I really like it. It's the first step. Secondarily, there is, of course, still something missing on top. We can just go with grass. This is the grass that gives you also the vegetation on that. And we can do it below, like, let's say below 45. And what it did is basically did the opposite thing than before. It has created this whole area that was missing with the stone, right? So right now, everything on this map should be painted with this. And suddenly, with just these 2 clicks, it looks amazing. In my eyes, it looks really cool. So the only thing that is still missing right now would be to, I guess, get, let's say, the biomes. For the purposes of the video, I'm just going to go and spray paint some of the biomes, because you see, it's going to be pretty obvious where to get that. I'm going to lower the intensity, because look at that. It would just not be so harsh, not so intense. And I'll just, I don't know, maybe up it a little bit. I'm just going to define this one mountain to be a jungle. I'm going to define one mountain to be, let's say, a badland, which is like a mesa, if I'm not mistaken. I think I'm not, though. Right, so just let's do that. I'm just clicking and dragging it out. And what's the different color? Yeah, swamp. Let's make a swamp. Maybe not on a mountain. Let's make a swamp right over here. Right. Let's make a swamp over here. And over here as well. And also, this is a taiga. Yeah, this is a snowy taiga. Old-grown pine taiga. And yeah, let's just do that. And let's create this mountain to be like that. Let's say even here. And what this does with the biomes, it just changes the color of the grass. So we will, whenever we export a world and enter the world for the first time, we will see what it does. And I guess that's about it for the beginning. So right now, what I recommend is saving the world. I'm just going to save the world as a save test one. And then there we go. This option right over here is the export button. It's the same as this, but it's quicker. And here there is a lot of things you can define, and this is most of the time the worst thing to tweak, or in my opinion, because there's a lot of things that can crash your exporting process. And whenever you tweak it, you can just repeat the process many a times, and then it will look very, very much so workable. Let's say. Okay, you can get a creative mode, peaceful, of course, this like loud cheats. This is like the standard stuff whenever you're creating a world. Let's say I'm just gonna click the generate structures. This should, in my opinion, generate the like villages, things like that on that. In many maps, you don't really need that. You don't really want that, so you just uncheck it, unclick it. I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with a steep terrain. That basically means that it will be from 3 to 5 blocks as a layer of cover. Then below that, it's going to be, well, let's say the same as the material before that. This is what you want your caves to be made out of. So if you want it, Definitely, you can make like a blackstone cave. You can make like a calcite caves, or just the standard stone mix. I'm just gonna go with a standard stone mix. Bottomless world basically doesn't create anything underneath the blocks like the bedrock layer. I guess the information here is that it basically tells you chasms are open to world. Kind of interesting. Now, you can get no border, void, water, lava, and barrier as a border from this. Right now, if you click the no world border, you can basically say what you want kind of world to generate like after the chunks that you are creating right now. You can also create a wall out of barriers, bedrocks, so your players don't really do anything. Also, you can get a roof with barriers if you want to have like your map done. I never really done that. I've already created walls now that I remember. In one of my projects, I did not get that barrier on top of the roof. That might be a little bit of an issue, but probably not gonna back. Now, there is this cave options that basically just tells you if you want to generate caves like in a normal Minecraft. For the purposes of the video, I'm not gonna click anything. If you did, you can just tell the map how many caves you want to get. This is that it will just get your it will tell you is this world will be like a worm food, and it's gonna be covered in caves everywhere, and it's just gonna destroy everything. So I'm not gonna go with that. You can tweak the resources. So if you want it, you can get very cheap with the resources, or on the other hand, very resourceful. You can also say that you can define which materials you want to spawn where. You can also populate, like this is like basically a whole global layers option. I never do this. Basically what we do is define the layers beforehand, and most of the times with custom objects like custom trees, custom stones and whatnot. So I don't ever really tweak this, but I guess if you want to have less work with something, you can, like, let's say, pop this in and say how lush you want your forest to generate wherever you tell it to. This is a custom layers. We have not really gone into this because, as I said, right now you can create custom layers. You can create custom, let's say, blocks to populate your land with. Let's say it's not even blocks, it's also like plants. You can create objects as a schematic from World Edit or MC Edit from previous versions of Minecraft, and then import it in this program to generate a specific kind of like a schematic, or like a tree, or I don't know, even a house if you wanted to, such and so forth. This one, I always tend to tweak these plants, make all the leaves persistence, because it happened to me many times. Then whenever I got my world exported and I had these like custom layers on with leaves to create bushes and such, and I didn't click this. Whenever I gone into the world for the first time, I opened it, I started seeing the leaves despawning. So I always do that. And I always uncheck the remove from invalid blocks because once again, with the custom layers, there are times when like grass blocks or flowers and such and so forth spawn on blocks that they should normally spawn at, but they will just stay there. They will be persistent. This thing will tell you to keep it at that, because sometimes it's really cool if I don't know, a flower spawns on a stone material that normally wouldn't spawn at. Of course, any update on a block will cancel it, defeat it, but if you click on this, it will just stay there automatically. Also, I guess the floating water, lava, things like that, sand, gravel, cement, I always leave floating because some of the materials, once again, with the custom materials, custom layers, are predefined to contain some of these like falling gravity blocks. So if you just leave it floating, they will once again not be updated as let's say the plants that are not supposed to be on certain blocks. So let's say a cement, sand, gravel will just float in the air unless you give it a Minecraft update. So if you just break the block around it, or just basically update the near thing, and then it's basically easy. You just click export, and it will create you this whole exporting window that takes quite a bit of time. With the more blocks it generates, it of course takes a lot more time. There's a real chance that my OBS is gonna, or my WorldPainter is just gonna turn off, because my processor always goes to like 100% of usage whenever I click this button. So I do recommend, if you don't have like a high-end computer, not doing this with a lot of your other programs open with like your browsers or other games, because it just takes a lot of processing power. Mostly my worlds that are about like 2,000 blocks in diameter take about like 7 to 8, 9 minutes to render. It kind of depends how many custom layers we get, right? This one, however, feels like it was very, very easy to do. It's honestly because the materials are very easy to say. There's a whole statistic that tells you whenever this is. And what you want to do right now is see wherever you've, let's say, saved your file. And you will need to import it in your world. That you can do by clicking the Windows and R button. I don't really know what it is on Mac. I'm sorry, I cannot provide that information. And it will give you this command thing. You will need to type in %, add that %, and click OK, and it will show you exactly this. You click Minecraft, you click Saves, and this is like a sneak peek to my worlds. This is where you need to import that newly acquired world. I'm gonna go, and this is the test. I'm just gonna drag it in, and I'm gonna turn on Minecraft. We are gonna go together and see what kind of a Minecraft map we have created. And now bear with me, because the Minecraft is probably just gonna be a freak show right now. It's gonna be a frame drop bonanza. Yep, and there we go. Welcome to the world that we have created in how much time? In about like 30 minutes of time, and this was just with me explaining. You can create this. We've already also like checked this option that basically gives you a chest with all these goodies. I guess that's for like a survival thing. But look at that. With all the materials that we predefined, you can see that we have this angled layered texture on this. We also defined the depth of the cover layers, which should vary. Oh shoot, this is really bad. From 3 to 5, which is 1 to 3, 4 at this point, and then this is the basic stone underneath. You can also see the biome variations. This is supposed to be the swamp, I guess. I've combined like two different biomes in here, because it just varies from this hue to this. It also spawns animals, because it just acts like a normal like biome. As you can see, there are a lot of these vegetations, which is because we used the non-bare grass option for the terrain. And if we go up, because these mountains, they're quite steep, but I feel like it's really cool, because this creates these like areas with the global operations that you would normally see in real life. It's just like a cliff with a couple of grass blocks and such. And again, with the differentiation of biomes, this is like the Badlands. So this mountain, this one in particular, looks more dead to me, or less lush. This one, on the other hand, should be the most vibrant, because it's the jungle one, right? This is the plateau that we wanted to get. And I mean, if we ever wanted to create, let's say, a base on top of this, this would be a perfect spot for it. Okay, I just want to show you the last thing before we end this video, and that is the border of the world. Bear with me with the frame drops right now. Like, look at this. Tell me that this is not cool for 30 minutes of work. I mean, you cannot beat it, really. Now, this is what I wanted to show you, right? As I said, the generation of the terrain always comes in chunks. So, this is what I've encountered before as well whenever I created whatever it's called, the circular world. And it creates a perfect circle from blocks. However, there are chunks still missing wherever the blocks are. So if you create the world with like the no terrain generations beyond the point of the world, and you just have this like floating circle in void, I mean, it could work, right? But since we've got ourselves this generation, this is like the first one biome I've ever seen. This is like kind of cool. This is like the mangrove biome, sorry. You can see that the world's generation just has issues with it because the chunks are predefined from from the general Minecraft world generation. So it just doesn't work. If you wanted to go with this, I believe it works like this. This is because I have my world edit on, which I cannot recommend enough. I think it's like a fixed water. If you just click that, you can easily like create a fix of this, right? If you want there to be this huge wall that I guess looks kind of natural because of the blocks that it has all together on these, then yeah, you can just go around manually with the fix water. Oh shoot. With the fix water command and just, I don't know, I guess do this a bunch of times around this whole block. But keep in mind, it's this one in particular, even though it's a really small world, it's still 1,000 blocks in diameter. At least, I think. So, yeah, this is gonna be about it. This is the basics, I guess, for the terrain generations in WorldPainter. I think I'm gonna be making a video of more than just this. I wouldn't really call this tutorial the best and the quickest way how to learn it. It's just more of my personal subjective way of playing the game or showing it to you with my experience and with how I personally use it. Now, this is kind of interesting. I did not define this. They just created this randomly. There are like blocks of water inside there that just updated this. If you wanted to, you can make a feature out of this with a world painter. You can just reopen the world, export it in, and such and so forth. So, but anyways, this is it for the beginning. This is it for the basic stuff. I mean, for 30 minutes of time, I cannot stress that enough. We have done so much work. If you wanted to do this by hand in Minecraft, just making these mountain ranges that look, in my opinion, really cool, really natural, really intimidating, it would take you months, maybe years. And you can do it in 30 minutes or so. So thanks for watching. I'm gonna be going right now. I'll think about just going and making another video with the more advanced stuff as well. Maybe just like open one of my projects in the process and see what we do. But see you then. Have a good one.